Film in Minnesota. I'm your host, Alan Tracy.
And I'm Rahana Power.
And today we have a fan film get-together, if you will, for our Star Wars fan film we made here locally and recently. Why don't we go around and introduce everyone, who you are, what you did with the film, and what you have kind of coming up next. Just those three things. Start with alphabetically by first name.
Oh, darn, that's me. Okay. I'm Anna. I played Casca and a Sith minion. And I guess one of my other projects is a mockumentary film about wildlife and college students that we're going to start filming this next month. So I'm really excited about that.
Wildlife and college students?
Yep.
Any hints on how those two are going to tie together?
Yeah, it's called the Wildlife Society, and it's based on a real wildlife club that I went to in school. And it's kind of like Community, that kind of humor. But
okay, gotcha.
Love that.
Yeah, The Office, Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Amazing.
Mockumentary all the way. Okay.
All right. Joe.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Cebula. I did a lot of different things on this. Most notably, I was the sound mixer, because that's what I do outside of this. I also played a couple of different Sith minions and Darth Noxus and one Jedi named Nancor. And I like that you guys get the joke.
We'll talk about that in a second. Go ahead.
I don't know what else is there to add. It was a blast to work on this. I'm just excited to be here.
Yeah, plug your stuff. Anything else coming up? Or
I'm a fitness influencer. I've got an app we do called a Ladder. I'm part of Team Maximus, and I've always got a film project on the back burner. So we'll see if something's coming up here in the next couple of months.
nice.
I should say I got a big release coming up August 15th. Kill Shot will be released on Amazon Prime, and that was one of my first projects and one that I'm very excited to share with the world. So check it out.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Nancor, Lee.
Yeah. Or isn't Cam next? Or
Yeah, Cam's next. You'll address that, I
Sorry.
guess.
Oh, yeah.
I can't count my letters. I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say, got to go through the alphabet. Like, what?
I
Few
My name
letters
is Cam.
together.
letters. Oh, I don't know. I'm dyslexic. I don't know how these work. My name is Kam Jones. I am resident stunt actor. This is my second film that I've done with Lee Fillingsness thus far. I played several Sith. One named Darth Mizeron. Guess Misery Loves Company, which is a lot of fun. And I played one Jedi, and I think I had one of the coolest fits as a Jedi on set, which was a lot of fun. Which was cool. I do a lot of parkour and martial arts on the side. I've been training in that for like the last 4 years in parkour. I've been training martial arts for most of my life. But I had a lot of fun on set doing this and dying a lot and helping to put a lot of the fights together and coming up with more glorious ways to die in a more glorious, brutal fashion, which was amazing, and being able to help a lot of other people kind of get their feet underneath themselves and really get them, showing their warrior spirit and be like, you can do this, you got this.
Mhm.
Now it's turning out pretty cool, I think. So, yay.
Awesome. Anything coming up? You're excited
Oh,
about?
yeah, I am working with another director right now to work on a very comedy fight series on YouTube. I have a Witcher fan film coming up. I'm also part of like this delivery service comedy series. It's like Amazon meets The Office is what I'm a part of. So it's called Driver's Way of the Road. It's fun. I drive around and get caught up in shenanigans. So yeah.
Awesome.
While delivering things like that type of Amazon, do you mean? Or
Yeah, well, it's not Amazon. It's supposed to be like a
Similar.
fictional deliveries. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep, and just get caught up in a bunch of weird adult humor situations. So
I got your
Amazing.
package. Missed.
Hey-o.
Someone had to say it.
Yeah,
Lord. Gosh.
we were all thinking it.
I was not thinking it. I want that on the record.
Okay, Rahana
Neither was I. I
is the
wasn't
only sensible person here.
That's scary.
All right, Mr. Lee.
I guess that's me. My name's Lee. I am the head fight monkey on this. I did a lot of the choreography. I don't say all of it because I do believe that this was a very collaborative set. The people that didn't have a background, I taught them, and I always talk about building a fight language. So instead of like just teaching people like "Donde está el zapateria," we give them kind of a language and a dialogue. So I'd give them some stuff and I'd put them in, and then I'd walk away for 5 minutes and suddenly they'd have new ideas. So it was really cool kind of watching all this come together. I also played Viren, kind of one of the two lead Jedi in this. I kind of picked that name based on a middle distance runner from the 1970s, one of the only guys to ever beat Steve Prefontaine, one of my heroes. And it just has a cool Star Wars sounding name to it. Let's see. I got into this because Alan's like, "Hey, Lee, do you want to do a crazy lightsaber fight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to do a crazy lightsaber fight." What the hell are you talking about?
It's the only answer.
Yeah. And then coming up, I've got like 5 projects lined up after this. I'm doing kind of a medieval thing with a guy named Anthony Hunke. I'm doing kind of a kids movie with a mother-daughter team that I've worked with a couple times now before, Tenley and Sonia Bushik. And then I've got a big thing next February. I just keep on getting bothered by people that want fights because I'm crazy and I'll do just about anything to show off. Whether it's me personally or making other people that are more talented than me, like Kam, do really cool shit to make me look good.
Take that back, sir. Take that
Dude,
back.
You could do stuff that I can't even lie about used to could. Like straight up. Like, come on, man. Take your credit.
I feel weird now that I had this compliment, but I'll take it this one time. Thank you.
All right.
This one time.
Love it.
And
All right, Alan. How do you fit into this film? Tell us.
well, I wrote the story as much as I could around the choreography of what we've created, and then shot, directed, now edit, and other stuff, I suppose. So, yeah, producing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just navigating a fan film from all ends is a strange process, and a lot of things that happen behind the scenes people never see. It's just kind of like, really? Come on. And I hope you never do see it, but but it's it's been a lot of fun. It's very challenging, but Lee just kept stacking new fights in, and I was like, okay, stop. It's like I just needed to get...
It wasn't necessarily stacking new fights in. It's like because this is all voluntary,
Right.
People stepping in, and we're all actors and all working actors and stunt people, and there are people that had to bow out. There are people that showed up for a day. There are people that were just religiously there, like Kam and Kobe and Anna, and kind of had to do the fights with who I had on the day and who I thought I could rely on. There was, also got to shout out Talon, who made every possible rehearsal that they could.
Holly,
definitely. Despite having 3 kids and being a decent person and a very busy
4.
working actor. 4. Oh, yeah. Well, that other one doesn't count. You know which one.
For 3 favorites. is what it
Right.
is. Like,
oh
yeah.
boy.
Ooh. Hey,
Oh,
yo.
and that one. Yeah. That's the kid's name, that one. But yeah, so we just had different people showing up, and it's like, okay, I don't have the skill set here for that fight anymore. Now I need to plug you in here. We took fights that other people had done and repurposed them. So we ended up with probably about a third of the fights we choreographed making it on screen.
Wow.
So, but there's, which isn't, bad because now I've got framework for other crazy stuff. The next insane when we do the sequel. And on, which I've
Wait, are
The
we confirmed for a
series?
sequel?
You mean the 6 seasons in a series? Or a movie?
6 season a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 seasons in a movie. That's it.
Are we
Yeah.
Disney Plus confirmed for a new series? Or is that what we're doing?
Yes.
We're all
It comes
vying
out
for
right
jobs
after
that they're now
Ahsoka.
on strike
So.
for. So,
There we go. Sign me up.
yeah, I'll join the union. Oh, wait.
Not quite yet.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
so
So-
Rohana, did you explain
Yeah.
who you were and your role in this?
there we
ma'am?
go. Thank you,
Oh
Ken.
man, I spent a whole one day, ladies and gentlemen, kind of PAing. I helped with the script a little bit at the very
You spent a whole day
beginning of the
peeing?
That's what I heard
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
I just
Wow.
wanted to make
You
I was
should
like,
see
that's
a
what I was like,
urologist.
Can confirm.
Yeah. Yeah, we were waiting outside that porta potty forever.
Yeah, we didn't really get anything shot or done because I was supposed to do so much, and everybody's standing there like, "What the hell? Just go home if you're sick."
So she got the nickname The Wiz.
Exactly. No, I was a PA, a production assistant. Though honestly, I probably wasn't a very good one, but I mean, I made sure people ate the bananas and were aware of what other snacks there were. I carried drinks around. I took a few pictures that Alan, I still have to get to you, of things and that I think are pretty cool. And I held the script and helped with lines for the first like 2 scenes. And yeah, I don't know. That's
You
basically
did a
it.
lot.
Yeah.
I spent
Yeah.
time with friends. That's what I did.
And that day was like hilly. And
That day was so hilly. And you guys, it would be like a quarter of the way to like where we were going. And Alan's like, oh, it's right up here on the left. So it's right here. We're almost done. And then like 5 minutes later, he'd be like, no, it's right here on the right. And then all of a sudden we go up this giant hill. And then he's like, oh no, it's right here. And all of us were like, okay, we're just going to stop. And this is where we film now.
Well, carrying like a total of like 200 pounds worth of gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody else ever get the sense that Alan didn't actually scout this until we were all there?
We were scouting in that moment. Yeah,
He was
Cam,
pulling Blues Brothers. He's like, oh, they got the sign wrong. It's supposed to say Blues Brothers, not Good Old Boys. Yeah, we're the Good Old Blues Brothers boys band.
yeah,
Goodness.
Cam at one point actually had to start carrying the cooler that I was carrying originally because it was so heavy. I was like,
Yeah, I do
I
remember
looked awful, like a 3-year-old trying to carry 50 pounds up a hill. And then Cam like grabs it with one arm and it's like 2 fingers. And he's like, this is great. I'm like, what? I'm like struggling, both hands on the handle trying to carry this thing.
Well,
And
to
he's
be
like,
fair,
"Yeah, it's great."
I hadn't like flipped or fought or anything. You had already been carrying most of the stuff by the time we got to that point. So I was
Okay.
fresh. You weren't.
For
You should
like,
give yourself a little more credit there.
I'll give myself credit, but I do have to clarify this was 5 minutes into the day. But yes,
Also, I'll say on that day, I checked my step count, 26,000 steps.
yes,
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was so many. Yeah,
And I got a long stride. So that's like, 38
Yeah.
miles, something like that. I don't know.
it was. Yeah, it was. I did the same thing, and I was like, all right. I mean, got some steps in. That was pretty good. It was a good day, hilly day, really good day.
Yeah.
The location was beautiful. It was really fun. It was good stuff.
Anna had the right idea show up later, then
Yep.
do your scene.
Yeah.
So, how did everybody kind of get involved in the film? Like, at what point?
Well, first,
That's what I
before we
wanna
get
know.
into that, I just wanted to
Oh.
mention the names a little bit. Like Cam, your Jedi name was Lem.
Yeah, what was the reason behind that?
LEMM. There was 2 reasons. Kind of one was like I always thought of like what was it? Apollo 13. They talked about the Lem, but I also thought of like Bullet Train, the guy named Lemon. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
It's
like
amazing.
it's kind of like both action and sci-fi name, so there's that. And then of course Joe's what was it? The
Nancor.
Yeah.
Yes. Can I tell that?
Yeah.
So Joe and I fought for the University of Iowa for a few years. We both got a pile of state, regional, national championship medals. And there's two ways to go about being heavyweight fighters. You can either be brutes or you can be doofuses, and we were doofuses. So we would do stuff like show up to practice wearing My Little Pony and Rainbow Bright t-shirts. I actually had one at one point that said bun in the oven. So we just constantly, he'd call me Sally, I'd call him Nancy. It was a joke that went on for years and years.
Yeah.
We were at the Renaissance Festival. This was kind of my crowning achievement. And they have a fencing booth. And if you fight, you can have like a little tournament with your friend. And if you win, you get like a special proclamation. And I had gone up to the guy beforehand and I'm like, my buddy's going to win. And you have to have the certificate say Sir Nancy in big pink letters. And so he gets a certificate and like all the joy of winning just drains out of his face. And he's looking at me like, you son of a bitch. So
still a proud moment. That was good.
Yeah. Well, and I stopped by, he ran a CrossFit gym and he had that on the wall at one point. And I'm like, yeah, that's how you do it.
A win's a win.
Yep.
So the name is incorporated into Nancor, just without the Y.
And I advocated heavily to Alan. I'm like, you have to call him Nancy. You have to call him Nancy. You have to call him Nancy.
It's like, can't really do
Advocating or telling
that,
him.
but I'll do what I can, yeah. Not that we're saying
Right.
everyone's name, but, and Darth Casca. I think Casca and Thana were just kind of like names that came semi-easily, but, just... I was looking up a lot of the like Star Wars generating names and stuff, so I was playing around with whatever it generated. So, yeah.
Alan, what was the final character count? Like, how many different characters do we actually have in this film?
I don't know.
All of them.
100. Yeah.
Are you asking about are you asking like named characters or like minions too? Like,
I mean, just all together. I mean, it's not a super long project. The script wasn't what did it end up being, like 7 pages. It's not huge.
It's like 11.
But we had
yeah.
like 11, yeah. But I mean, there were so many different costumes and characters, especially if you include all the minions.
But it was 11 without the action added in there for writing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, because the fight scenes were just like, and now here's fight scene number 3.
Yeah.
with like 12 minions.
Yeah.
And there's like the cast in general is like 20 people, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say maybe 40 characters, including minions.
Yeah.
That's my.
I'll get a
that's
final
my educating
count.
us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious how many actual performers.
That's what I
we
was
were
saying.
all
20.
doing multiple roles.
Yeah.
So 20 performers, and we had at
I
least
think it was
40
20.
characters.
Yeah. I played 2 characters, so
I played 4, so yeah.
Yeah, Holly was good on that. She caught your hair sticking out there for the good call to check. Have Holly do a visual check there. But yeah, it's yeah. So, anyways, how did this film come about? It's called Kyber Run. I guess we can kind of talk about it. Just the basis of what it's about. It takes place between. Well, after Empire, before Return of the Jedi, so in that crevice. The whole idea stems around that the Death Star is powered by Kyber crystal, and that's why the laser, in my mind, the laser is green from like Jedi lightsabers that are green, so that they used. Something that was used for good is now being used for evil, so like that type of use of the power, I suppose. Yeah, so that's where it came from, and then the idea of like Luke's lightsaber, how did he get that? How did he get, the Kyber, like, we kind of know there's lore around that now, but for me, I thought that would be a fun idea, just like, and when I rewatched Return of the Jedi recently, with that in mind, if you think about it, like, if it came from the Death Star and the lightsaber's right there in the Emperor's hand, it just made it feel better to me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think I got to do a lot of cool lightsaber fights. It was
Yes.
I think having a setup that just gives us like, okay, here's our MacGuffin. You need one of those, especially if the movie really is kind of an excuse to fight. And that's one of my favorite things. It's like, oh, excuse to fight. I love it. But with that, it fits into some of the lore. Obviously, in Rogue One, they're stripping Jedha of all the Kyber.
Mhm.
In The Force Unleashed, you see the Kyber being used in Death Star construction. So I mean, there's a way into that story. And of course, as we were doing it, Marvel's run is telling the other story of how Luke got his lightsaber. So
Yep, they just released that.
Yep.
It was-
Interesting story. So
I think wasn't it an
Well,
old canon
like
too
how-
that I'm sorry, go on, Joe. My bad.
I was just gonna say, I like that we didn't try to over-explain anything about that, like because this universe is so big, there's so much, just content created about it. There's so many films, there's so many books, so many comic books. Like to try to fit something in specifically would be really, really challenging. But if you kind of leave it unexplained, everybody had a way to sort of make it real in that universe. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I guess we don't really address that it is going to Luke's lightsaber per se, but that's the intent, but based on the hints. But yeah.
I think like what Lee said, it ends up being a MacGuffin, so we needed to kind of have an idea, but to make the movie happen, it's not super really. It's like it's just enough to tie it in, and like I said, spark the imagination and let the viewer sort of figure that out on their own.
Right. Lee, talk about your process from when did you start training people to meeting people? When was this?
Really, it was February.
Was it February?
Cam and I,
Wow.
Yeah, Cam and I got done. This is actually we had wrapped up on a project with Holly, and I just wrapped on a project with
Damien?
Damien, yeah, which Cam couldn't make filming, but he was definitely a part of it. So I'm going to call this the third, not second time, sir.
I forgot about that one. I'm sorry, because I didn't show up.
Yeah,
So.
no worries. You were instrumental to that process. But we got done, and I've been now done 2 really great fights with Kam and Kobe, and I looking at them, and we're tired. I mean, we were just we beat the absolute ever-loving crap out of ourselves and each other, basically from almost this time last year. It was probably September, October. We started working on the first fight.
Oh yeah, because Kobe and I were coming back up from another series that we were working on in Owatonna.
Yeah.
Then I think we got wrapped up with you because Holly had asked us to work on that other project,
Yeah.
so that we were wrapping that up throughout November through January-ish, because we did that fight out in the middle, like negative 20-degree weather.
Yeah.
Wrap that up, and then you were like, "Hey Cam, I have 2 more projects for you. So we're gonna do this one project." So okay, that's one I couldn't show up for. He's like, "But then do you want to work on lightsabers?" I'm like, "Yes, please sign me up." This one. So it was me, Lee, and Kobe, who started just fooling around and trying to figure some stuff out. Then
And Doug.
and Doug, that's right.
Yeah.
And Doug showed up. Yep.
And Doug was in those fights as well. He's kind of become the unsung hero of a lot of this. Dude shows up, does the work. He's actually an assistant karate instructor in his own school right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah, incredibly humble, funny, nice guy, and does not look like he has the technique he does. And as soon as he comes on, like he's just boom there. But in the fight we did with Holly, he stepped in for somebody who never showed up for rehearsals. So we kind of made that fight a little bit smaller. So he had one dramatic moment, but I took him out really quick. Both, I cut his arm and took his gun from him and smacked Kobe in the face with it. And then he gets murked by an 8-year-old.
Oh yeah. He gets shanked in the back.
Different film, but yeah.
And then in the next one, he'd been there for the rehearsals, and it just kind of happened that the way they shot the fight, we didn't see his face, and never complained about either one. But like he shows up for these rehearsals, and he's just he's in everything. He was when I had to step away, he kind of. He could watch the choreography, and as long as he was physically capable of doing it, he could recreate it. So he was helping me teach other people other stuff. So it was kind of it was the three of us. And then I kind of put out the bat signal to all the nerds, and a lot of people said, "Oh, I totally want to do this." And maybe half of them showed up for a rehearsal, and then half of them showed up for a second rehearsal. But most of the people that made two rehearsals stayed all the way through. A few people couldn't, just because actors have to take the paid acting gigs, and didn't work out that as we'd hoped sometimes. But them's the breaks, and the number of people and the quality of fights we have is nothing that I can complain about. But it was originally supposed to be a 7-on-1. We unfortunately never had 7 people in the room at the same time until probably the beginning of July.
That sounds right.
Other than the
Wow.
first rehearsal, yeah. So we're usually working with 3 or 4 people, not including myself.
Yeah.
And at times there would be people that are new to this, like Anna, who again did amazing work, coming from no sword or very little sword experience to a couple of really cool fights. And we'd be teaching people, and then okay, here's how the lightsaber-y parts work. And then kind of incorporating all the backgrounds that people had, because, Kam and Kobe, very dynamic, parkour, acrobatics, those great backgrounds. And then some people like Doug coming from very traditional karate backgrounds. And we can kind of see develop the fight with Kam and Joe around sort of this calm that Doug has. And he has just this beautiful master stroke, and Kam is, like I said, he can do stuff that I can't even lie about being able to used to do. And, he's coming in, he's flying. Joe is coming in just brutal. And Doug is sitting there calm and just beautiful, perfect responses. The way, you think about how I'd win an argument in my head is how he's fighting. He's just oh yeah. But yeah, it was the 3 of us. Holly jumped on really quick after. I did recommend to her because of how much work she'd done on ghillie suit, that she needed to take a break, because she does everything, and she will continue to do everything until somebody physically stops her. And so I kind of recommend she take a step back. But she was kind of there from the beginning. And I want to say I reached out to you about May. Is that right?
It might have been earlier than May.
Okay. But yeah, she started showing up, kicking butt. And pretty much all the crew are people that I want to work with. Callan Corpy, one of my best friends. I think that her and Joe are going to have a battle royale to decide, there can be only one. But
this is true, and she's going to lose. I'm just gonna put that out there.
And then she's gonna make you feel bad, and you can be like, okay, fine. But
he don't care.
When she and I met 11 bajillion years ago, we were both seeing a friend of ours in concert. She told me she does stage combat, and I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. We knew some people in common. The first fight of hers that she showed me was a broadsword fight. The first time she and I actually kind of played around with weapons was staves. We went to a park somewhere up in St. Paul, and just it was me, her, and another guy who's now a officially licensed Italian fencing maestro. I have cool friends, as you can see. And then when I interviewed her for another podcast, she let me know that her favorite movie, her favorite fight scene was from the movie Hero. And it was this double sword fight scene. And so her character has a broadsword fight, a double sword fight, and a staff fight. So kind of got to throw a little bit of a little bit of payback her way for all the crap she's had to put up with and all the stuff. She's an insanely qualified actor combatant, doesn't necessarily get the recognition that I do because I'm loud and I tell people how awesome I am. But she's got just a wall full of certifications in all the weapons that Society of American Fight Directors has, the British blah, blah, blah society. I don't remember it, but she would know. And Alan recorded her first on-film fight last year in Dana versus Judy. That I was kind of brought on midway to be the fight monkey for. And then when this came up, I'm like, hey, Corpy, you got to do it. And so we do practice, and she'd be like, well, am I doing broadsword? Am I doing two swords? Am I doing staff? I don't know. What am I doing? I'm like, you're doing all of them. How am I doing all of them? The staff or the swords connect. She's like, well, why would I do that? Like, because it's awesome.
You're doing all of them.
Yeah. All of them.
Swords unite. And I like how you forgot after British, you just tuned out British something, yeah.
Yeah, I never remember the official governing body.
Okay.
So.
I'm totally out of my element with that. But yeah, there's a lot of different. Oh, go. Hello?
Joe, I've seen that wall from at Callan's place with all those certificates, and it is pretty dang impressive. I don't know what it said on the certificate, though.
It looked cool, right? No,
you are the proud owner of a Timex watch.
Yeah. A calligraphy artist at best. No.
And by the way, when Joe is impressed by somebody's wall of accomplishments, he is, as I mentioned, a national champion medalist in Taekwondo, competed internationally, won national level medals in another martial art called Kumdo that we both competed in. He's got black belts from the Kukiwon, from Hwarangdo, in Taekwondo, Kumdo. He's an instructor in Spear. He's a CrossFit certified trainer, Maximus, all sorts of stuff. So when Joseph P. Cebula is impressed by somebody's wall of accomplishments and certifications, that's more than most people being impressed.
And I'll even say maybe a little bit jealous too, just a little bit jealous.
Hey, I want that. It reminds me of the scene in Barry. I think it was season 2 where he goes into that guy's house and it has all these trophies from, what was it, Taekwondo or something?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. It's like, where am I? It's like, who is this person? But yeah, a lot of styles, even here now today, like different backgrounds for, or no background too, for fighting styles. But I noticed like even Holly had like kind of a fencing style, and
yeah.
I guess Anna, is yours kind of fencing too, or is it more?
I guess it's more based on German longsword, but there might have been some other elements of things snuck in there.
Yeah, there was. She came to me. She let me know about the German longsword, and I'm like, "Oh, cool!" So, a lot of her basic stance is Posta di Donna or Vomtag, and then we kind of built on that. Oh yeah,
she held up a sword. People listening.
And we kind of built around, like I said, Doug, myself, Cam, and Kobe. We'd all notice certain little things she did, and so we'd be like, okay, let's do that. And we kind of built a style for Anna. So she's there. With Holly, it's I really went very Bob Anderson, who was the choreographer for Highlander, Princess Bride, the original Star Wars trilogy, Lord of the Rings. So it's kind of fencing broadsword. And she's kind of the most classically Star Wars of pretty much anybody on set. Cam, I just said, hey, go crazy and look cool. And that's what he did. And he's actually combining a lot of different things. We had, even in like some of the fights that we ended up not filming, he's putting in Eskrima, he's putting in Wushu, he's putting in Kenjutsu. he's putting in, flying squirrel technique. That jump, man, like,
Legendary.
yeah,
Okay.
I know I can't post the picture. I really want to post it, but
Yeah.
there's a photo of me. Someone, I think Talon caught it, where because I was doing that fight scene between me, Talon, and Kobe, and I think you, Lee, had come to me as I was crouched on the ground. You were like, "Hey, don't stand up. Just launch yourself forward." And I tend to forget that I have a ton of power. Even when I'm training in parkour, my coaches are like, "Cam, you're like way too high." It's a good thing. You're just way too high.
yeah.
Like, okay, fine. So I launch literally from the ground, just running at Kobe full speed. Even Kobe was looking at me like, oh no, like, what are you doing? I think I leapt maybe 6 feet horizontally across, and
Easily, yeah.
and vertically, I would say like
You were
4 or
3
5 feet.
stories in the air,
It
ladies
wasn't
and
that
gentlemen.
high.
He
Not
leapt-
3 stories.
It was
You
like,
were Willie
like
Nelson
the length
high,
of
dude.
3 football fields. He leapt across this land, and he sailed out of the upper stratosphere. Like, you couldn't see him. It was
He
right
flew away.
Yeah,
Oh,
I couldn't
You
see
can
him for
fly?
a second. Yeah.
no,
he can
jump
fly
good.
now. Yeah,
Can fall with style or something. I forget what the
Yeah.
word was. Yeah. Buzz Lightyear.
One of the biggest problems I always have with flips is that like you have to be able to see the ground where you're spotting. But I'm up in the air and I'm kind of like, how come I'm not hitting the ground yet? That's like the biggest problem I have when it comes to park. Where am
Oh
I?
yeah, you gotta come
found
down.
it.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Right.
So,
So
quick timeout for everyone. What is everyone's favorite Star Wars movie here?
ooh,
Empire.
Empire.
it's Empire because I saw it at the right age. If I was younger, probably be Rogue One. They're kind of neck and neck in my head, but like,
You can say
Actually,
Rogue One. That's okay.
yeah, but no, like there's no comparing the effect that Empire had on me as a kid. Like I was, I was 3 when that came out. Those were the toys I grew up with. That was you had 3 years wondering what happened to Han, wondering is Darth Vader really his father? Like there's nothing to compare to that 1980 to 1983 Star Wars experience. It's just like, unless you were there, you just don't even understand. Like it doesn't live up to like the hype leading up to Phantom Menace was palpable, but like there's nothing like the hype leading up to Jedi. It's like that was like the culmination. Like Star Wars blew everyone's mind. Empire was just like, a sequel can be better, and then everyone's waiting for Jedi, and they're like, oh, teddy bears.
I'm actually going to recant my statement. I think Phantom Menace is my favorite, and Empire is number 2.
Oh,
So,
really?
Discuss.
Oh, wait.
Let's
Let's say ours first, and then we'll come back to you, Cam. Put a pin in that one. Anna?
Well, when I was a kid, I'd have to say Empire Strikes Back, although I was like 5. I really couldn't follow it at all. I just liked watching R2-D2 and C-3PO and the AT-ATs attack.
Snow?
And
Relatable.
But now I don't know if this counts, but I kind of want to say Spaceballs.
Is that blasphemy technically in this?
Hey, George Lucas based Tapoca City on Spaceball City. So like even George Lucas recognized how good Spaceballs was.
Fair.
Spaceballs. Okay.
We're looking at now. Everything that's happening now is happening now. What happened to then? We missed it. When? Just now. When will then be now? Soon.
Oh my God.
Was it Soylent Green or what was that? Can of Air, right?
Yeah, it was Perry Air instead of Perry.
Perry Air, yes. In the desk. Rahana?
Mine has a bit of a story to it, but so I was not a Star Wars fan until a partner and I started dating. I didn't dislike it. I had never given time to it.
Mm-hmm.
I was more of a Star Trek gal, and now
She's a spy.
Yes, I am. Now our shower curtain is, which I've been told is permanent, Han Solo in carbonite or whatever. And we have a giant, and I mean he is maybe this tall, which obviously people listening and even like everyone looking at me doesn't know how tall that is. But I mean, it's
pause for just a second. Just because Nick and Kevin have a podcast, every time they do this, they have a sound cue: visual gag on an audio podcast. So there we go.
We probably need that.
Yeah.
But it's huge. Like it's got to be like 4.5, almost 5 feet. Like it's huge. R2D2 in our living room.
Dude,
that's awesome.
It's technically like one of those, like when you would go into like Blockbuster and they would be like, here's the sodas, and it's like a cooler.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those. But yeah, so we have that, right. So we have that. One of our walls in the living room is all Star Wars posters, and not posters, but like it just artwork and things like that. It's I couldn't even list within the amount of time we have on this podcast the amount of Star Wars stuff there is in our apartment. So Star Wars fan now. We've watched it through a few times because it's his absolute favorite thing in the world. In addition to Lord of the Rings. But anyway.
And you.
And me. I definitely come in after Star Wars though. But which is okay. It's okay. But I would honestly say that I like the last three the best. Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. I loved them. I felt really engaged. I know a lot of people didn't like it, whether it was the story or the acting or whatever. I thought all of it was phenomenal. It was my favorite. So I would say those three. And I know that's not picking one. Yeah. But yeah.
I like them. Episode 9 I didn't like as an episode 9 as a follow-up to 8. Mm-hmm. I think like episode 9 would have been a great trilogy. Because like there's some really great bones. That would have been a great Rey and Kylo trilogy where they resolve their issues. Episode 8 I absolutely loved. The only thing I wish they would have done is because they had a year, is like figured out a way to have Leia do the Holdo maneuver. Because that was where they flew the ship into the other ship to kill everybody.
Okay.
The sacrifice play, because she wasn't going to be in the next movie. She wasn't going to be able to do anything substantive as a character in the next movie. And it would have been kind of the first important thing she would have done for the rebellion since getting the plans to Obi-Wan. You know, if she'd have been able to do that, but neither here nor there. I'm totally on board with The Last Jedi otherwise. And Force Awakens, again, that was a blast in theaters. Joe and I went to see that opening day. Huge crowd. Back when there were crowds opening day at AMC. I sat in a half-empty theater for Avatar. I sat in a half-empty theater for Indy, a half-empty theater for every release. And I'm like, how are these movies making $1 billion? Somebody is fudging the numbers because, you know.
Oh, it's like, happening in like LA.
Do you know what had like every theater full, all seats filled for opening, not just day, but weekend?
Barbie?
Really
Spider-Verse?
Barbie.
It took us. Took us looking at like 20 different showtimes over a week to try and get into see Barbie. We got into Oppenheimer immediately. Great seats.
Yeah, I can't get into Barbie now.
Yeah. It like we had to
That's
look
why
at
I haven't seen it
week.
yet, because I can't get in to see it.
Yeah. Anyway, beside the point. Yes.
By the way, in a couple weeks they have another Barbenheimer thing going on.
Ooh.
But it's a combination. Again, two completely opposite openings. Saw 5 or 6 and Paw Patrol, and they're calling it Saw Patrol. So like that's the double feature.
Oh my god.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah. You need your
Wasn't the last one Dark Knight and Mamma Mia back in 2008 or something like that?
Sounds about right.
Good.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
For me, I do like the newer films. I do. I was able to see like the prequels in theaters also. But I think it's a tie right now for me. It's like I love Rogue One and I love The Force Awakens. And I named a cat after one of those droids. So, but yeah.
One of the best droids.
Yeah.
FX7?
Oh my goodness.
Cassian said I had to. So,
Nice.
but yeah,
Amazing.
those two I liked a lot. And yeah, I felt like The Force Awakens had elements of the original trilogy stuff in it as it was, launching a new trilogy. So and then like Rogue One was just like, yes, this makes total sense. It's like it fits perfectly where it should. But yeah, so that's kind of the basis of where this film came from, was from Rogue One. It was like, oh, they're mining Kyber? What? And that powers the like lightsaber? I didn't even think of that. It's like things you don't think about if you're like, more casual watcher per se. So yeah.
So what was everyone's favorite part of filming?
The fight with Kam and Doug. That was my favorite.
Really?
I love that fight. I love the choreography. Yeah, well, there was that. I mean, that was just icing on. But like the three of us going through the motions on that, like we really brought like so much character to what each of us was doing. And it was also hilarious because my character was very, very reserved and very classic, like Kenjutsu. And Kam was like doing backflips. And so they're like, all right, take 3. And he's like thrown up in a corner drenched in sweat. And I'm just like, what's up, dude?
I must have looked real dumb because here's Joe looking calm and collected. He's like, all right, here's the setup. Here you go. Here I
So
go.
much backstory.
Cam was waiting for
He's
this.
like, bro, what are you
Backstories for all our
you
characters.
doing?
We had a whole thing going on, and it led into
What was the
everything
well,
we
I
shot
shouldn't
after that.
No, I think I
Bob
was
from accounting.
Were you Bob
Yeah,
from
yeah.
IT? And
I was Bob from IT. You were from accounting.
you were from IT. I was a
Yeah, and I was
Mitch.
supposed to be
I
off
forget
today.
what my name
I wasn't even
from
supposed to be
accounting
working. It was Mitch. Yeah.
There we go. And it was my first.
Yeah.
It was my first day on the job. I was brand new, and
Like,
we got
I
called
thought
right
it would
away. Like, hey, boss, we're here.
I'd
Guy.
work to get into that IT desk
Working
job
hard
where
to
it
keep
was
the
safe,
job
and
he
I'm
got.
getting pulled
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Oh my God.
Got the ring for your wife and
He was
everything.
this
You're gonna
close to
propose
retirement.
next week and everything. We had a whole thing. Every time we step to Doug too, it'd be like, "Hey, yo, Bob." He's like, "Just shut up, Mitch. We're just, we gotta go. It's work." I'm like, "But this is the third Jedi today. Just, can we go home, please?"
Love it. All right, Anna, what was your favorite part?
My goodness.
I really liked doing my fight with Merritt in Hastings. The location was really, really cool. If it weren't for the shoes, I would be completely in my element, climbing around stuff and hiking through thick woods. But the shoes were a little bit.
Can I just? I'm going to make a proposal since she brought that up. Can we just gather all the shoes we wore and burn them in a big pile at the wrap party, please?
Yeah, we are not wrapped right now, by the way, at the time of this recording.
I'm keeping my top ear
continue,
new.
Anna.
Yeah, that fight was really fun. That was the day where I gave Nikki a ride to the nearest quick.
Oh, yes.
And she was still in pain. I think she made a small child cry.
Oh,
And the mom was like, well, maybe she was a Smurf the other day, and she had a really bad day because half her paint was melted off from her sweat.
oh, oh my gosh!
I was in my lines, but I didn't get nearly as many looks as she did.
Yeah, because you were both painted up, sort of, and yeah.
That was fun. Fun day in Hastings.
Yeah, they're used to that down there.
Yeah.
Actually, that checks out.
So how about you, Cam? What was your favorite part?
I have two. So the first one, my number two, was when I was doing my fight with Talon earlier this week after I messed up my
Mhm.
ankle.
Yeah.
We had the kids show up, and we got to take photos with them. Just like I'm not trying to be like big head and everything like that, but it was
Mhm.
kind of cool to have fans. It was like, oh yeah, cool, come hang out with us. This is nice to meet you, real cool. And they were little kids, and just kind of seeing them kind of really bewildered to see two other dudes, two other people doing flips and seeing what they see in the movies, but in real life, like ultra wide 4K HD, like right in front of their noses, going like, yo, people can really do that? Be like, yeah, we got to take photos with them, and it was cool, and they were gushing, and they were like, lightsabers are awesome, and which characters are you playing? And it was just fun to kind of really interact with people in costume like that while we were on set. My favorite bit was the fight that I did with Kobe and Talon. And we only worked on that fight twice because the three, like, Talon lives really far away. Kobe's got his own life and dealing with stuff that he's working on. I got stuff that I'm working on because I wasn't around either. And I think we only had like snippets of the recording of the fight that we had, but I had worked with Talon and Kobe so much. I've known Talon for like the last 10 or so years, and Kobe I've known for like the last two or three. And I really respect these two people because they know what's up. They know the game. So they showed up and they were like, all right. And I think we got done with this within like an hour and a half or something like that. It was crazy that we showed up on set on this amphitheater. We brushed it around, and Lee had asked us, okay, how's this feeling?
Mhm.
We're like, cool, we're not gonna do any flips on this because like we know it's hot, really hard ground. We're not gonna kill ourselves on this, right? We said, all right, cool, like work through it. So I think we went through a couple of run throughs, and I really admire what I really appreciate as someone who does this on the regular is that I can sit down, work with people who can just put their egos to the side and be like, all right, let's blitz this out. Let's work on this. And within an hour and a half, like we had Talon's death. I got my flips over. I know I was drenched. You could wring out
Oh
my
no,
shirt.
the
There was
best
just
was
water coming out of it and everything. It
he
was that
missed
hot.
the pad on one of
Um,
his falls, and he hit the ground, and there was just this big wet spot on the ground.
Oh,
And we continued filming for probably another 20 minutes or so. We wrapped, and I look at the ground, and the wet spot is still there. And at that point, Alan and I were still talking about like maybe going back because we'd
fresh.
gotten rained out of one scene earlier. And I'm like, Alan, that's way too much. Like he's going to be dehydrated. He's going to like we can't. But like the amount that you gave on that, like literally, the sweat was insane.
Oh, it was fun. I liked being able to like put the building blocks together to be like, okay, like we haven't worked on this in such a long time, and then Kobe and Talon quickly just picked up on it. How can we adapt this a little bit so it fits within this time frame, and can we make it look good? And they were awesome. They were really, really, really good. And I
Yeah.
got my 6 foot Duncan on Kobe too. So
Man, why did you yell Kobe when you did
everything
that?
else. So I mean, it was because it's not in the universe. It's not in the
You could have
universe.
yelled Obi then. That's in the
no,
universe.
no, it was good. It was done. I'm done. No, it was good. I think that was like the coolest thing that I think I've done on set. Besides, and then everything else too, like like working with everybody, meeting everybody, taking photos in our pictures, in our outfits and everything like that. Like there were some people that showed up. I was like, "Who are you?" "Oh, my name's so and so. Nice to meet you." And then we ended up working together. But, "Oh, you're really cool." Be like, "Yeah, we're really cool." So I had a lot of fun showing
Good,
up on
glad to
set
hear
and
that.
working hard with
Awesome.
everybody. So
all right, Lee.
yeah.
I've got a couple, like Cam. I think there was a fight. It was 2 versus 4, and it ended up is me and Devell. And Devell turns around, and there is Anna and Talon. And then I'm facing off against Doug and Joe. And we hadn't been able to do all the choreography at the same time for this fight yet. But in my head, I was pretty sure like it's going to line up within a second or two. And the very first take, we both win our fight like at the exact same time. and pretty much every take we were on the money, and like watching it happen, because as the fight choreographer, you can tell people, hey, you're going to do what I say, like this is going to do blah 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 XYZ, and in that group, Talon was the only one with fight choreography experience, other than what we had done through training with this. And Joe is a fighter. His background in that is like me. And then Doug was a fighter that I kind of brought into fight scenes. And Anna, had done one other fight scene before this. And so, like, the ideal in my head was something I was prepared not to see.
And this is day one.
Yeah, day one. And then I go looking over at Alan's shoulder, like I have been doing for the last month, at the screen. And I'm like, holy shit, did that work? And then, okay, let's do it again. And every take, we just boom, 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 boom. Like that timing was awesome. I'd also say we have our buddy Kevin came to the first practice and he had this spear. And I'm like, oh, this is a highlight. We've got to have this spear in. Because I never get to do spear fights. I never get to see him on movies. One of the ones that made me really my all-time favorite fight is probably the spear fight in Troy. It's just like dynamic. My dad made fun of me because I didn't breathe for the whole fight. I'm just so Kevin comes in and he's had a long journey to health. So this is he was a little unsure coming in, but I'm like, dude, I know you got this fight in you. And we rehearsed, and he starts with 3 versus 1. And the 3 constantly changed. It was whoever happened to be there that day. The only person that was there, I think, every practice was Anna. And so we kind of basically, I had her and Kevin helping to teach everybody else the fight on that. And come up with this great fight. There's a move we ended up calling the Moses, because it's like he strikes his staff in the ground for a block and then just force pushes everybody. It's like parting the Red Sea. But we had to do the end of the fight a couple weeks before we did the beginning of the fight. And that was against Kobe. And, Kobe, like Kam, has an amazing skill set. And so I know that I can kind of rely on him. What Kam didn't say is that Kam, Kobe, and Talon all kind of came up with their fight themselves, and I just kind of gave notes for camera stuff. They really did that. Another reason why I don't say, I am the only fight choreographer. I'm like the top, but like everybody's doing work. So
the key.
That amazing, that amazing fight was theirs. But watching Kevin fight beautifully against Kobe, like at a level that you don't see with a spear, that you don't see with a staff, you don't see a lot of people fighting this way. And Kobe really being able to sell that this is a challenge, that this is a fight. And seeing that come together so beautifully, and the resolution was just perfect. Don't want to give away, how it ended up, but seeing that, and then 2 weeks later, seeing the fight, the beginning of the fight, which was Mr. Bloom, Alec, Chris, and Anna versus Kevin. Seeing that all come together, as dynamic and crazy as that was, and watching Kevin do all of his Kevin faces, which, one of the main reasons I wanted him in here is just this expressive, just like if Jack Black wasn't overplayed, like that kind of, big, bold personality. So those were kind of the 2 big moments. And then honestly, I say it all the time, but like getting to make movies with my friends, like literally everybody in this in the stunt crew is friends of mine that I've brought in and talked to. Duvel was one that Alan recommended to me, but I've already done a movie with him, so it's like I'll count that one too. But like it's like, hey, Joe, you're my oldest friend. You want to kill some Jedi and some Sith? Sure. I got Callan in there. I got Kam and Kobe, who've kind of become my my right hand, and got Doug as my left. Anna, who she was an extra in a movie I did last winter, and she just like the immediate thing. I'm like, oh man, she's scary looking. She was the sniper for this crew, of kind of vigilante, or not even vigilantes, like bandits. And I just gave her this old World War II prop rifle, and she just picked it up, and like I immediately saw her and was like, as a character, scared. Like she had this presence, and she's a very small, very nice, very
yes,
polite,
I was going to say,
person.
if you meet Anna in person,
yeah, but like she can find a character, and suddenly she's a foot taller and a whole lot meaner, and it's really fun to see that, bringing in, Alec, who I've been trying to work with for years, Bloom, who I've been trying to work with for years, Talon, who has, the moment I met him, impressed me, and they've been instrumental in getting a lot of this done. They brought a lot of the lightsabers. They did a lot of the notes. I'd be very myopic on one part of the fight, and then here'd come Talon, and they'd have something to say to me, and I'm like, good call. And then I'd go over and say it to Alan and take all the credit. But there's just something to seeing all the people show up, especially once we started doing the costuming stuff. How many people brought crates of bits and baubles and costumes? Nikki, who couldn't be here today, doesn't even have a car, but showed up with 2 huge duffel bags that she brought on the bus to drop off and make available to everybody. And, she's a fantastic cosplayer. She did a lot of the work to learn how to sword fight in this. I could probably make an entire podcast thanking everybody for all the amazing stuff that they did to make this film work and, vicariously make me look good, which is really the important thing.
And me,
but,
let's not forget.
That takes more work. Yeah.
Who are you?
Takes more work than these guys.
What?
Did you just get here?
About? I have no idea. What are you?
Oh, Joe did leave, by the way, for people
Who
listening.
Yep.
He didn't just go quiet suddenly. But anyways.
Yeah, he got tired of my crap. So.
All right, Alan. Oh.
I just want to say, Lee, that I appreciate the fact that Kobe and I are your right hand, Doug is still your left. Like Kobe and I are just one entity, just on one side. Every production I've been on, Kobe is me, and I am Kobe.
I'm just gonna start calling you guys Tyler
it's
and Durden.
Funky.
Yep.
We probably still respawn.
I don't know what my favorite part is, because it's like all one thing to me, because Lee and I are there every day. So
yeah.
Gosh, I'm trying to think, like, is there something specific? But I think it's just all your
friends.
Yeah, I think it's just Rahana.
Oh wait,
Rahana Power.
I almost forgot having golf carts when we were in Egan. That was my favorite part. Oh god.
Oh
my god, the video on that is great. I love that, especially in the rain. That one.
Oh yeah.
I do remember one thing that day with the rain. By the way, with the golf carts. Just call them carts. I don't know. But anyways, because I keep saying like go karts, and it's like that's not it.
Imperial
but
transports.
It was like that because I remember it was raining and Holly was coming back to base camp, and that thing came sliding in like it was gonna hit something. I was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, stop the cart, It's like you're gonna cause my insurance premium to go up here. It's like. Because we got a lot of good favors, I think, for this film, and with the exception of like that one day, we've lucked out on weather for the most part. Like yes, we've had hot days, but we kind of know that with Minnesota here how it tilts between January and July. So, but yeah, I think. Just everyone showing up, I think is the big key. Everyone wanting to do this is my favorite part. Just being with like people who are of the same mind and mindset of we want to make this film. We want to make these cool fights come to life. And like just have it to show to our friends and family, like for the rest of our lives. Is like you don't really get a lot of. Well, I guess there are more fan films popping up, which is good. I'm kind of excited about that, but it's just like, how often are you part of a Star Wars fan film or a whatever fan film, you know? And the one that's probably going to be I mean, if this had a budget, how much would it be? You know, it's like, it's up there.
Well, we've got several $1,000s worth of lightsabers, probably a few $1,000s worth of costumes. I did the math. Well, if I had been, because it's been every Tuesday or every Sunday and Wednesday, since basically end of February, early March.
Yeah, you have just given all your time for like every week.
And like when I train people, it's $35 an hour.
Ooh.
So we were up getting close to. If it was just $35 an hour, no matter who was there, we were getting close to about $8,000. But if it was like my rate for how many people, we're talking big payday. But it was also like I got to play lightsabers with my friends for a few months, and like that's cooler than anything.
Yeah,
so cool.
Great use of the collection.
Yeah.
Are you saying that I can charge $35 an hour for like my
if people
starting
pay
rate?
it, you can charge
I
it.
could do that.
So.
And I
fair enough.
I like that everyone
people would
had.
probably believe you as a
Darn
trainer
it,
more
Alan.
than they believe me, so you probably get it.
Youth and exuberance always gives way to age and treachery.
All right,
so
fair enough.
You're fine. You got it.
I also like that everyone brought their own style to it, like from, we were talking about Anna and her. When you meet Anna in person, it's like, oh, she's very, reserved, very, quiet, I think. But once she gets into action, it's like, what happened? It's like you said, Lee, she turns it on. So yeah. And then Kam, he always like, I'm like, can you do this? Like, can you do that there? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. It's like, what? Okay, show me. And then he shows me. And it's just like, oh, okay, it's not that hard for him. So, but
makes me mad. I want to ask
the
him to do something that he
expectations
can't
go
do
higher
someday.
for everyone else, Kam. You're just pushing that ceiling up, and it's like, come on, guys, you got to get up here now.
So one of the biggest things I've had to learn in recent years is that my job, although is to look cool, is to make everybody else around me look better. That's my job, especially when I play as extras or minions, someone who's supposed to die. If Hannah was supposed to run up and cut my throat with a lightsaber, decapitate me, however it needs to happen, right? I need to make it look glorious because it needs to sell that she's more of a badass than she already is. She's already a level 10 badass. I got to make it now a 20 with my death, right? That's how that needs to happen. If that means I need to do like 4 backflips and she force pushes me off a building, so be it. And that's what we're doing,
Well,
so
that's something that it takes for stunt performers. Again, there's 2 kinds. You can either be a brute or the doofus, or like a little bit more humble and part of the story, instead of like, I could kick this guy's ass, which took me forever to get over, because like I would be in a scene, I'm like, nobody believes that this guy could beat me. And then I realized, oh, it's my job to help him get there. And you're like, okay, here's how you can do this a little bit better. And sometimes, depending on who the fight choreographer is, and Kam and I both hate the same fight choreographer here in the cities, you will not get the best notes. And you don't necessarily get the level of communication that you'd like. And one thing that I've loved in this process is how open to, I wouldn't even say criticism, but adjustment everybody is, because sometimes everything works fine, but the camera is in the wrong place to pick something up. So it's like, okay, we got to move this. We got to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And
a lot of adaptability.
Speaking of somebody that completely has ego, surprise, surprise, it's sometimes hard to take that adjustment. It's like, I'm doing this right. Why are you? But the humility and the professionalism that everybody had when I'd have these little notes, it's like, okay, we got to tweak this part. And believe me, I know, like when you're in that, like the adrenaline, all the stuff that's flying, it's like, paying attention to one bit, like, and watching it happen and seeing like all the changes that people professionally make that make them look better. But, you know, kind of getting back to what Cam says, like sometimes the person that would win the fight isn't the one that wins the fight. And, you know, seeing, you know, how a good fighter plays somebody that is a threat that can lose. That's a skill for a stunt person, for a fight actor, combatant, whatever you want to call them. That's a skill that a lot of people don't have because they're so in love with what they can do and how awesome they are. They don't know that they're the servant of the script all the time.
Yeah, the film in general, yeah. Well, what? Anyways, I think the film is coming together really nicely, I think, but there are little snags that behind the scenes that everyone else doesn't see, like a hard drive that fails that could have wiped out everything. But Alan thinks ahead and always backs up everything. So, yes. Thank you, Cam, for the thumbs up. He approves, yeah. But yeah, that was scary. I was like, what happened? Where's the drive? You know, like, it's like things like that happen. But yeah, we're almost there. One more day, and we can see where it's going next. So.
Well, want to thank everyone so much for your time today. There is one thing that I kind of want to touch on with everybody and get your thoughts on first before we, let you live your lives this evening. So I'm going to, steal you a little bit longer, but just want to kind of run around the Zoom table here and get everyone's final thoughts about the film, like as a production. And Alan, let's start with you.
I'll begin.
Yeah, this is your baby.
Because you're wrapping it up. So no, I'm just kidding. The podcast, not the film. I love. Thank you, Cam, for that look. At least doing it now too. Cam has this very distinct. The lemon look, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
Anyways, where was I? Final thoughts. There will come a day where we can share everything we've done about the film. It just isn't right now until the film is actually out, or unless Lucasfilm says you can't. In which case, we'll show it to our friends and family at our homes or whatever. But anyways, I think it's a very special thing to do something like this where it's all voluntary and everyone is fully on board for it. That's kind of rare, especially as you grow older, speaking for myself. And I understand that. I get it. We're all trying to pay the bills here. We're all trying to, live our lives. But I think this is a nice staple. It'll be something you can look back on decades from now and be hopefully proud of. So, I hope you guys feel the same way about the film when it's finally put together fully. But, I think it's just special. That's all. I think it's a special thing.
I'll go. I can't wait for it to be done. And not for any levels of frustration, but that idea of like crossing the finish line, of accomplishing so much with my friends, and this really has been kind of me and my friends playing lightsaber and having Alan point a camera at us in a lot of ways. But it's also the intellectual side of this, the martial arts background. Alan had mentioned a couple times like the different styles. We have stolen Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Brazilian, Dutch, French, Italian, Filipino, American, all sorts of styles, techniques. It's not just one saber versus one saber. It's not one person versus one person. It's like so many different things. It's like, it's mathematical. And to know that it can be done, not just to be like, I'm done, I can have my Sundays and Wednesdays back. I'm not. I'm going to end up like all of my students that have been stacked on, the same 2 days a week are now going to take over those spots, and my new students are going to pick it up. So I'm not going to get any rest, I promise you. But knowing that this idea that Alan came to me with, and that I complicated, and that my friends added to with their talent and with their dedication and with their skill, and crossing the finish line, no matter what happens, what I've seen my friends do, the journey that I've seen them go on their own, with each other, with me, outside of me. There have been many times where I've been working with one or two people that needed some extra help. And then I'll come back and I'll see what they're doing on their own and coming up with, and just seeing like this group of people, like Alan said, like this doesn't happen as you get ancient and decrepit, like I just did. I just turned 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or decrepit.
It's not a common thing to achieve something like this. And I will miss playing lightsabers with my friends until the next project that comes up. But this is, my daydreams were Star Wars as a kid. I read, I've got a copy of Ivanhoe that I stole from somebody when I was living in Europe. And in the foreword, well, it was kind of, you just trade books with people, and you were supposed to give them back, but they'd go one way, you'd go another. And I was backpacking. I'm not going to see this guy again. But in the foreword, Professor Graham Tulloch wrote this phrase: "Boyhood lives in daydreams that manhood does not forget." And when I think of the 3-year-old that was just blown away by Empire Strikes Back, it's one of my earliest memories. When I think of all the birthdays where I wanted Star Wars, when it went from being my toys to being my collection. When I think of on my 7th birthday, which is 39 years ago now, my dad taking me to a karate class because that was the closest thing I could get to being a Jedi. And I went from just being like some nerdy kid that wanted to be a Jedi to being a national champion, to being an international level competitor, to being an instructor, to, even like all the other stuff that I got into, I discovered because of like this weird little dream. C-3PO speaks 6 million languages. I got 9. I've got a ways to go, but like it's still there. And then that I'm at a place in my career in film that somebody's like, I've got a lightsaber fight coming up, I want you to do it. And realizing like that kid, if you had told me at 8 years old that I'd be doing this, I would have said, duh, because I was an arrogant little shit. But that we're going to cross this finish line, that I can say that I did this, that I can say I worked with these amazingly talented and generous people to do fights that only existed in my head before, that didn't just try to live up to what had already been done by Nick Gillard and Bob Anderson and Jojo Eusebio, but like built on that. We all stand on the shoulders of giants, and we took these daydreams. We have so many different favorite movies. We've got, Rahana, you like the new trilogy. Cam went out of left field. He pulls off the Phantom Menace. We got the standard Empire Strikes Back, which is what all the old people usually say. But that there's this love for the stuff, and that we all kind of put it together and did something despite age differences, backgrounds, all this stuff. Like I am a lot older than most of the people in this, and yet they're still all my friends. So yeah, there's my long-winded answer.
Good.
I love it. All right.
Anna, go
Anna.
ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
I wasn't gonna say anything, so
I guess for me, it's just being able to be part of a action movie because there's not. When I started acting, there wasn't like a ton of opportunities I could find right away around the cities. I didn't think Minnesota really had those opportunities until I joined a Skyrim fan film from an indie director. And I was like, okay, I really like doing sword fights. And now I get to do even more stuff. And I've learned fight choreography and a little bit of stunts. And I've got to work with like really cool people, like Lee was saying, Kam and Callan and Kobe, and even people who I didn't actually film with, but I got to practice with. Yeah, that was all really cool. Like just learning fights and learning stunts. That's all I got.
Yeah.
It is incredibly fun.
Yeah. Practice was
right.
like playtime, really. So
I don't know if Kam and Lee think of it as playtime, but yeah, maybe a little bit.
Fun. Okay, it was
work
fun.
A little bit.
Fun.
it was fun. We were sweating pretty hard.
Enjoyable.
It's hard playtime.
All right, Kam, what are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. I'm ready for more. I'm always ready to do more and get out there and do a lot more. I grew up studying and performing in Shakespeare, doing stage combat and reading old soliloquies, and monologues from Othello and Twelfth Night. And Star Wars is kind of like the sci-fi version of Shakespeare, right? So doing this, like Lee said, is kind of like, my little boy's dream, come true. And to be put onto film too and looking completely badass while doing it and being with badass people on top of everything else, and then being the badass to help those badass people to be more badass on stage, like, yeah, like why not?
And wearing lots of sashes.
And where
The
can
costumes.
never have enough
yes.
sashes.
Man.
Can never have enough. I'm sorry. I liked my fit. My fit was good. I liked it a lot. I think Ebony actually might have had the best fit. She was the all white robes.
With the gold belt.
She was cool.
That was
amazing. But I got to meet amazing people and got to do flips with them, or they got to flip me, and they got to do like the really cool thing while killing me. I know I've been doing stage theater stuff for a while, and I'm trying to recently break into the whole film side of things, but I'm someone who's burning the candle at both ends right now, so I'm really just trying hard not to just break into the field, but to really have fun while doing it too. So on top of doing like films for Z Fest and all the really big competitions, it's nice to turn around and be like, you know what? Hard work, but I'm gonna do it for fun. It's a different kind of pressure, but it's like I know I can do this and do it right without the strain of, what's the word I'm looking for? Of something that needs to like be done. I don't even know the word for it. It's just like a different kind of pressure. And I appreciate the flexibility, the adaptability, the kindness and the humility that everybody has shown on stage. And I got to meet amazing people like Anna, and I got to work with Callan again and Talon. Got to work with Devell again too. So it's been fun. And I want this to keep going, or at least on a different project maybe. When this ends, I'm ready to hop onto the new one. And then if Alan ever calls me back, if you ever call me back, Alan, be like, hey, you need me to die again, I can do it. So
Yeah, cut away. Time for an insert
next
here.
time you get to live. So I promise. I've killed you too many times now, Kam.
Yeah.
oh, everybody's killed me too many times. The only person here on the panel who hasn't killed me is Anna. So
I haven't killed you. I've killed 0 people.
we need to fix that. We need to fix that.
I'm
Yeah,
cool
you
with
have to get
fixing
in
that,
scene
but-
now, Rahana. So
Yeah.
Yep. You both need to kill me now.
Well,
So.
the
like an end
production
credit
killed
scene,
you.
just-
The production killed you, and she was the production assistant. So
Ooh,
who's
there we
to
go.
say, really?
You're
who
welcome.
Killed
Yeah.
who? Yeah,
I got
and
you.
originally,
I see you.
originally both.
Maybe, possibly.
Maybe
I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? We can't really say. but
Spoilers.
yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoilers.
What?
Sir.
Maybe.
Whew.
We'll see.
I don't know the
We were
script.
both supposed to go
I
to
don't know the
Candlelight
script.
for a romantic weekend, and that got scrapped for continuity and budget reasons. But it was originally supposed to be Ocean's 11.
That
but,
will be.
There we go.
If that
Yeah.
part's
That's
bleeped
the
out,
sequel.
you understand why. Cam, back to your final thoughts.
Oh, those are my final thoughts. Just thank you for having me here on this project. I'm humbled and very blessed to have worked with again some really amazing people, to meet some really amazing people, and hopefully I didn't shoot myself in the foot for working amazing projects hopefully in the future, because apparently I'm really good at doing that. So like, hi, I don't like you, I'm sorry.
I think everybody here likes it.
Oh, thank
And
you. Thank you.
something
Thank
that you just said made me think of this. It's random. It has nothing to do with final thoughts. Said that you started out and grew up doing Shakespeare and reading Shakespeare.
Mhm.
We actually have, because it's a nerdy household, we actually have Shakespearean Shakespeare text of each Star Wars movie.
Do you?
Like
Oh,
it's like the full script or story of each episode, but in Shakespeare.
Last Christmas I got A New Hope in Shakespearean, in the Shakespeare version. It was like Iliad and Odyssey Shakespeare. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I always thought there was one. I didn't realize there were more.
Every episode. It's insane. Yeah. Coolest thing ever. But yeah, so that just made me think of that.
Amazing. Yes.
Love it. Well, thank you again, you guys, so much for taking the time out. This was really fun getting to chat with you. I know I was only on set for a day, but it was awesome getting to meet you or see you again, Lee.
Yeah.
For the first time on set in 13 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was super, super fun. So thank you for your time here. So excited to see the film that you guys made. And until next time, to our listeners, this has been Film in Minnesota.